Go underneath. While we're waiting for the mic, would you?
When in doubt, turn it on.
Testing 1, 2, 3. How about I just hold it too? That might work.
No.
No? Okay.
I just didn't want somebody to bump it, start making a racket when I wasn't there to stop it.
Testing. Okay. All right. Do you have an intro that you want to?
All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started. Let us first start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll have Sam come up here and say a prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
So I know there's a lot of different denominations in here, and Bobby's Catholic and I'm evangelical, so he came up to me beforehand and said, hey, can you have one of those, you mind doing one of those heathen evangelical prayers again tonight? If you're not an evangelical, you have a different denomination, forgive me. Bobby still hasn't, but hopefully you can. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the time and the freedom to gather peaceably and to express our ideas and to sharpen each other and to learn and think about self-government and what kind of government we want locally and the direction we want our county to go. Thank you for health and safe travel coming here tonight. Thank you for the freedom that we have. And thanks for this group of people, whether we're on whichever side of the aisle, so to speak, we find ourselves tonight. Thank you that we all come together in community and learn and talk about this topic. Pray your blessing of this evening. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. First, I just want to provide a brief update as to where we're at in this process. For months, citizens of Dearborn County have been engaged in discussions regarding solar farm development. We've attended meetings, submitted recommendations, conducted research, reviewed ordinances from across the state, and worked to ensure that our local government has the information necessary to adopt a protective ordinance. This effort's not just about Manchester Township, it's about the future of all of Dearborn County. The ordinance adopted will affect all of our farms, our homes, our property rights, the rural character, and future development in this county for generations. We've made progress, but we've also reached a point where citizen involvement alone is not enough. That's why legal representation is important. These are complex issues involving state law, local government authority, zoning regulations, property rights, and increasingly sophisticated development companies backed by significant financial resources. Having qualified legal counsel helps ensure that our recommendations are legally sound, that our concerns are properly addressed, and that the rights of Dearborn County residents are protected throughout this process. Legal representation comes at a cost. That's why I'm asking tonight that you consider making a financial contribution to this effort. I'm excited to share that before this meeting kicked off, a few of our neighbors generously have stepped forward to match every donation made tonight up to $3,000. So this is an opportunity to double the impact of your dollar, and every dollar you give will be invested into our legal expertise necessary to draft an ordinance. If you're interested in becoming a guarantor for our legal fund or would like to be represented by our legal team, please speak with me after the meeting, and I'll be happy to walk you through the process or any questions you might have. We have come this far because ordinary citizens chose to get involved. Tonight, I ask that you continue to stand with us as we work towards an ordinance that protects the people, the farms, the communities of Dearborn County. Before we begin, a quick note about questions. After our presentation, we'll have question and answer. There are index cards on the round table back where you came in. fill out your question, and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as possible while still trying to leave time at the end for one-on-one conversation. Now it's my privilege to introduce our guest speaker. We're fortunate to have Denise Spooner with us tonight. She's a renewables consultant, a licensed Indiana real estate broker. She's a former Madison County Board of Zoning Appeals member, a former Planning Commission member, played a direct role in helping develop solar ordinances in her county. She has testified at public hearings throughout Indiana and has extensive firsthand experience navigating these issues at a local level. Denise, thanks for making the 2-hour drive down here.
You're welcome.
And please welcome Denise Spooner.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much. Are there any elected officials in the room this evening? Do we have any commissioners? Thank you, sir, for coming. I greatly appreciate your attendance. How about Planning Commission members, Board of Zoning Appeal, any of those? Okay. Just last weekend, I was a delegate, and Madison County was 2 rows behind Dearborn County at the state convention in Fort Wayne. And I really wanted to go up and meet some Dearborn County residents, but I got pulled away from all of the other solar and land use delegates that were there throughout Indiana. Anyways, a lot to learn, but I'm just so thankful to be here tonight and for this good crowd. I'm going to try and stay as close as I can to the mic and get through my slideshow. Okay. So Attorney Lorene White was going to try to come with me this evening. I'm sorry she couldn't make it. She got up this morning and wasn't feeling well. And so I do want you to learn a little bit about me. So the introduction covered that slide. And but first, some clarification. I am not an attorney. So nothing I say tonight is to be considered legal advice. There should have been an attorney here. It says there's an attorney here that you can ask. But I'm just a dumb farmer's daughter and a real estate broker trying to learn and navigate my way through a terrible nightmare. However, I have spoken to a lot of attorneys since 2019 regarding renewable energy, ordinances, public utility laws, and more. And I will quote attorneys in my presentation, and I will provide in writing what they have said. I still have a lot of questions myself, as we all should, so about the future of renewable energy. And I advise everyone in this room to consult attorneys and ask questions and keep asking them until you get your answers.
Speak up a little,
Okay, let's see if I can get this adjusted a little bit better. Seems like if I move 1 inch away from this, it doesn't pick me up. Let me see if I can. There we go.
It's probably going to turn into you. That's probably the problem.
Thank you. Okay. If I get away from this, you guys just wave at me. All right. So I do quote a lot of experts, a lot of attorneys, a lot of people that are smarter than I am, and I would encourage you to read all these references and studies for yourselves. In fact, if you are an elected official, if you sit on a planning commission, it's your duty to do so. I am not an appraiser. This means I do not hold a license to perform an appraisal. However, it does not mean that I haven't received and looked at a lot of appraisals in my lifetime, and I've received real estate education about appraisals over my career. It doesn't mean that I can't give an opinion about an appraisal or a real estate study. This is my family. My husband and I have been married 34 years. We're now Papa and Gigi. We have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. My daughter on the far left just gave birth to twins, and there'll be 2 this fall, so it keeps me quite busy. My husband and I have horses. We enjoy trail riding, and he can still stack a 9-row high wagon, and I drive that tractor, and we bale our own hay. I am a farmer's daughter. This is my dad. I get teary-eyed of these. My dad, he was killed in 2003 in a tractor rollover accident. So I lost my father when he was 58 years old. But he farmed tomatoes for red gold. And long history of farming in my family. This is my dad and his brother, my Uncle Wayne. And he just retired at 82 years old last year. So I'm very happy that my mom is with me today. I said, Mom, you want to come to work with me? She's never seen one of my presentations before, so this is her first time getting to see this. So, so when Dad left us and went to be with Jesus, Mom carried on and growing those tomatoes for Red Gold. And I understand the divide that this happens in your community, because Red Gold has been a very good company to us, and the farmers, when solar came to my backyard, some of those involved, that helped us get our tomatoes out of the field, signed up for solar. And, these were hard conversations that I've had and I've been through in my community. So this is what came to my backyard in 2019. This has been a 6-year battle for me, and this map right over here to my right, your left. Anyways, 444,000 solar panels, 1,890 acres of prime Madison County farmland. In this map on the slide, it took two zoning appeals to process this. The first project was gray. They added the orange parcels at a separate date in 2019. Madison County thought this was a great thing to do. We are a farming community. They were all for it. They thought it was great, and they passed it in 2019. I'm going to give you a real quick synopsis of the Madison County battle. The citizens filed an appeal on that BZA decision. We kept them in litigation for 2.5 years. We never won a single case. We went to the Supreme Court all the way as far as we could take it. But we kept them in litigation for 2.5 years, and after the second meeting in 2019, they went to our county council for a tax abatement. We were the first county in Indiana to stop a tax abatement. I helped accomplish that. And they didn't get that, and we thought that the project may not move forward just because they desperately needed that money, but they continued to fight us in court. Politics is kind of crazy, and I feel sometimes politically marooned, and navigating the politics of my own county felt like nailing Jell-O to a tree. At the time, we had commissioners that did listen to our community. They put me on a board of zoning appeals for a year. I campaigned hard and tried to make changes, and we didn't make success in the 2020 election. So January 1st, come 2020, I was removed from the Board of Zoning Appeals. That same year, because I've been involved in county extension, the county extension appointment to the Planning Commission became vacant. And I got an email asking for applications that people could apply. So I thought, God, is that where you want me? Because I wasn't on, you took me off of BZA. So I thought, well, I'm going to go. And I did. I applied, and they chose me to be on the Planning Commission. And I sat right back down to the commissioner that removed me from the BZA. And that was kind of a funny moment. But I think our county knew that they were not going to shut this lady up. She was going to continue to talk about property values and farmland. And I did. And every time I walked into my courthouse, I prayed. I prayed for my leaders. I prayed for everyone in that place that they would open their eyes, open their hearts, and listen to me. And I was relentless. So 2.5 years, that's how long it took me to open the eyes of my county government. And they started talking to me more and listening more as I researched more, and I continued to provide that information. One thing happened in 2019, and if this county is going to approve a solar farm, there needs to be a date of expiration. We had in our agreement in 2019, when they got their approval, that they had to have it up and going and running and complete by December 31st, 2023. They had never started building. They said, these pesky people that kept, filing litigation and lawsuits, and we went through COVID. They said there was supply chain issues, and we stopped that tax abatement. And but because of the lengthy legal battle, they lost investors. And so they had to come back in June of 2022 and ask Madison County for 2 more years to build Lone Oak Solar. And guess what? One of the BZA members who voted yes in 2019 voted no in 2022. They got 1 vote. That's all it took. It took 1 vote. It was in 2019, it was 1 vote that cast that decision to approve the solar farm. And in 2022, 1 vote stopped it. And guess what? 2.5 more years of litigation because Lone Oak filed lawsuit against Madison County. But this time, they put a stay on that, and they took us to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. We went all the way back up to the Supreme Court again and went to the IURC. And this is where public utility law gets very interesting and has another impact that people don't realize when these projects become public utilities that can change everything. So the IURC denied them, and eventually Lone Oak went away. In May, 1 year ago, almost a year ago, this last couple months, Lone Oak abandoned their project and Madison County stopped it. So about 6 years of a legal battle. But that was unbelievable that a county government who was all for it now changed their mind and is against it. And I would implore your commissioners or any of your planning commission to reach out and talk to Madison County commissioners and ask them directly what do they think about solar now. Because we drafted the best solar ordinance in the state of Indiana and adopted it in 2023. And that solar ordinance led the state of Indiana about farmland specifically. And I've received phone calls from folks in Georgia who got the Madison County solar ordinance from Iowa. So it's gone beyond the state of Indiana. But I do sure miss the America that I grew up in. I never in a million years thought this would be my life, fighting renewable energy. So there are a lot of topics to solar discussions. It's property values and property rights, agricultural concerns and impacts, health, welfare, safety, decommissioning, and overall financial impacts, tax abatement and economic revitalization areas, public utility laws and Madison County's lawsuit and how the results could impact the entire state, local zoning, moratoriums, ordinances, and more, Indiana state legislative bills and the fight for local control, current state and nationwide education on renewables and the future of America's energy, and will it be affordable, and is it going to be reliable? Can we even achieve net zero 2050? And how about the truth about climate change, global warming, and carbon dioxide? And what is being taught to our children, and what fears and burdens do they now carry? I am able to speak on all of these subjects, but if I was to do that, I would keep you here for 5 hours. So I'm sorry if you're overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed too. I've been studying this since 2019. Please get a pen and paper, take notes. Feel free to take photos of the slides. And I do have binders of education up here as well. But we live in a world of fact-checking, myths, conspiracy theories, and new words like misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Sometimes I ask, is it really too hard to determine truth from lies? And many times we just go straight to the horse's mouth. And that's my horse, Ernie, who smiles for treats. So yes, truth is an absolute defense. Libel and slander, meaning if a defendant can prove that the statement they made was true, it completely negates a defamation claim against them, regardless of how damaging that statement can be. I've also worked with Purple for Parents and Lorraine White, and so we take everything that we have through attorneys, and like I said, I quote attorneys and other experts. So this next section, I'm going to go over a little bit about the fight for home rule, state laws on solar, public utility laws, and eminent domain. I was asked tonight to speak heavily on property values and farmland, and I want to do that, but I'm just going to quickly go through a little bit more of these slides, so because there's some really important stuff. So I understand you may not be able to see everything from up here, but I do want you to know, let me make sure I understand, is Dearborn County under a moratorium right now? You are. Okay, so what can you do? What should counties be worried about? Do we have local control? Well, yes, for now. But this last legislative session brought at least 6 bills dealing with energy. House Bill 1007, 1628, 1579. I'm part of a state group that is a bill watcher, and thank you for Miss Yolanda Coach. She came all the way here from Boone County. She's one of those that helps us read bills and legislation, because it's a fight to just stay hold of local control, which means that Indiana is a home rule state. We get to decide what we want for zoning in our backyards. So that's what's really important. But every year in legislative session, we chip away at that and chip away at that. And our Constitution is very clear that Indiana is home rule and that the state shouldn't be taking control of these things. And even if you are for solar or wind or any of these things, local control, you should still want that, because not every county is the same. Every county is different in population, demographics, topography, industry. Not every county is one size fits all. So one county may be able to host some events and others may not. But right off the bat, in 2019, my next battle was fighting House Bill 1381. Every county that you see there in red did a resolution, signed on to this resolution to defend home rule because the state was going to take it away. And if you're not aware, everything around us, not except Kentucky, but Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, gave the state control over wind and solar siting. And just 2 years ago,
when we were fighting House Bill 1381, the state of Ohio was fighting to get it back, and they did. So far, Michigan, though, and Illinois did not have control back, but Ohio fought hard to get it back. I noticed down here, though, Dearborn County is in the white. If they were in the white, I don't believe they responded, or perhaps maybe they just sent a letter. I think the blue sent letters, red definitely sent on the resolution, and white had no response. And maybe the commissioners or the county government at that time was not aware. And again, I didn't even know any of these terms in 2019, what was coming and what was happening. But anyway, this was the bill that did say voluntary. Okay, so they worked out this again, and it is voluntary for if you want to adopt the state standards, it's a voluntary thing. You don't have to do that. Anyways, I'm going to skip a few of these because I don't want to inundate you, but there is Shelby County, Indiana asked for a legislative review on the current law that talks about solar. One of the things that's been said to us is that you cannot say no to solar. And if you want that legislative review, I do have it. It's very good because this is the law right here, Indiana Code 36, 7-2-8. And it talks about solar for space heating, cooling, and water heating. I don't know if you guys can even read these slides because it's blurry, but if you were going to pass solar, large-scale solar, Shelby County was asking, is this meant for large-scale solar? And when you read that bill, it's very clear that it was homeowners associations that were upset with not being able to put solar on their own house. This was for personal use, and the law is very clear on it. But still, Madison County's attorney weighs in. And so when we drafted our ordinance, he said, we're not going to ban it, we don't want to be sued. But this is definitely a huge industrial endeavor. It has impacts, and he said under Indiana Code 36, counties have the right to do this. And he said, I'm going to quote it verbatim, during the solar subcommittee meetings in Madison County, and we were in the process of drafting our solar ordinance, Madison County Attorney Jeff Graham advised, Section 2B does say, other than for the preservation or protection of public health and safety, and it goes on to define what is reasonable in C and 2. And he said, Indiana Code 36 specifically gives a county the right to draft ordinances to protect the health, welfare, safety, and property values and uphold your county's comprehensive plan. So I say to you tonight, research, find the peer-reviewed studies, expert testimonies, and evidences that support language for this solar ordinance, and that's what he told me to do, and I did it. I set out to do it. If Lorene was here today, I would have asked her, do you agree? And I did ask her in Huntington County, and she said, yes, I agree with Jeff Graham in Indiana Code 36. And I asked another question, what is the focus of a PCA or BZA member? And that is to follow your county's zoning ordinances to protect your citizens under Indiana Code 36. A lot of members have been told that, and this happened in our county, they have to vote yes because the county is going to get sued. There is nothing in the laws, and I've asked numerous attorneys, I've asked Lorene as well, there is nothing in the laws that says you have to vote about whether or not you are or you're not going to have a lawsuit. Citizens can sue, solar developer can sue. You are there to uphold Indiana Code 36 and answer the proper questions regarding laws on a special use application in front of you. So in 2019, we had an attorney named Terry Hall, and she talked about the petitioner and the economic benefits to the county may be illusory and not necessarily support the general welfare of the community. And I have highlighted here, however, she said, even assuming these things to be true, the economic benefit analysis fails to take into consideration what economic benefits the project will displace. We know they were taking out 2,000 acres of farmland, and she goes on to talk about that. And she said, first, because the project is displacing an existing economic good-producing industry, the payments to the landowners are not new. It simply replace the lost benefits from the agricultural activity. Indeed, given that farming has an economic multiplier effect in that it actively spends and supports other businesses, while the project will be a passive economic business actor, the economic benefit is either a wash or will in fact be less than what is currently being generated. And moreover, with the change in land use from an active local enterprise to an investment property where profits will be upstreamed to an out-of-state parent company, the project may result in more of the land being owned by out-of-state residents. And if this occurs, the tax revenues would be based upon payments to landowners, will not be taxed in Madison County, but rather the Dawsonville district of the landowner. And here is what is really important. And if the project is sold to a governmentally owned utility, the solar equipment is exempt from taxation. public utilities are exempt from taxation. And we also realized that the county would not have any control over if these projects are sold, who they get sold to. Madison County was the first county in the state of Indiana to hire an economic analysis to be done on that money, and I'm going to show that to you right here with a fiber right poster right behind me. We hired Professor Stephen Miller from Michigan State University. He is an agricultural economist with ag. He worked for Purdue. Sorry, I'm going to hold it. You guys hear me okay?
You want me to hold it?
So yes. So what he did.
Yeah, you can hold it, Mike.
So he looked at the 1,890 acres, okay, Madison County's farmland, taken out of production over 35 years of the project. This would equal a 2.34 million annually, and at the end, in 35 years, in the red, I'm just doing it by memory, but I know it's over $82 million. Back then, Lone Oak Solar promised us a revenue, it was 24 million. And we would lose 82 million. That is huge. And if you don't think agricultural means something to the state of Indiana, you need to talk to some agricultural economists about that. I understand that there is a new study that's out again, Professor Michael Hicks from Ball State University, that's been going around here recently in the past few months talking about how counties are losing out on financial gain. And what that does not take into consideration is this point. And again, if these projects are sold to public utilities, they can be tax exempt. And what are you losing when you lose that farmland? And then thirdly, I would add the property values. I have no idea how many homes are impacted by any projects here, but in Madison County, we had, there was 199 homes within 2 miles of the project. So all the way around all of that. And several of these homes were impacted on more than one side, 2, 3. Some of them were completely engulfed. And that is exactly how I got into this battle in the first place, when I realized that my neighbors were being forced to live inside an industrial power plant, because that's exactly what is happening. And we're all around you is going to change your aesthetic views. This is 6-foot fencing with barbed wire and 15 to 20-foot solar panels. And you're going to tell me, as a real estate professional, that that's not going to injure property values. When in the history of real estate, we have homes that sell for more money when they are riverfront, mountainous view, and even the country, creeks, rivers, beachfront, mountain front, we know that viewshed impacts property value because those properties sell for more money. You are taking someone and you're going to force them into an industrial power plant. That's exactly what's happening. So anyways, that study is in these binders and they've been provided to your community. But I think that was huge as to what agriculture can produce economically. And when you go to the State House and you're there and you just check out the beautiful character of our State House in downtown Indianapolis, look around you, because agriculture is one of the pillars of industry for this state. So these next few slides are emails, and I will give the slideshow to your folks, but this is an email chain between myself and our attorney that we were using at the time, and I was asking him about eminent domain and the rights for the county. How can I protect my county? Can I prevent them from selling to a public utility? And does a public utility have eminent domain rights? And he said, absolutely they do. And no, your county cannot do anything. There isn't anything that they can do, because he said that the public utilities are guided by state and federal law. So at the local level, there's nothing that you can do about that. I also asked him, Jason, can you clarify one more thing for me? I understand that an ordinance cannot trump state and federal laws, but could a board of zoning appeal, like as a condition placed upon the project, accomplish the protections that we seek? And he said, no, a condition on a project by the DZA member cannot trump state or federal laws. So that email chain, if you want to know a little bit about your rights, that can really benefit your commissioners and any planning commission members. This next conversation happened in Spencer County, Indiana, from Kate Irwin, who was the planning director there. She also gave testimony that the project there in Troy, let's see if we get to the right paragraph. Sorry. There we go. She said, quote, there was no oversight by the county when Vectren bought it because it was actually a project by, I think it was Orion, she said. Yes, Orion came in to develop it. But then the leases were sold to Vectren, who was a public utility. So Orion said that they didn't have to do anything or abide by the county's ordinances because they were a public utility now. So Orion pretty much did what they wanted and when they built it. So there was no oversight by the county. When Vectren bought it, they were very difficult to work with. But when CenterPoint bought out Vectren, they did get better. She said Orion kept the project, and had Orion kept the project and not sold it to a public utility, we would have had oversight. She said originally we had county approval, so the county did have some restrictions and guidelines, but once it was sold to Vectren, they said we didn't have to listen to you anymore. So they built that project, they removed